So, and nobody knows, I contend. Nobody knows for sure. And so we write these stories that kind of make us feel better. There's a whole theory called terror management theory that is premised on the idea that fear of death is what drives civilization and creativity and productivity, and architects and artists and scientists are driven by this fear of death. But if you ask people, do you walk around in a state of fear of death? No, I don't. So it's unconscious. Okay, maybe, but how do you know if it's unconscious? So they have these experiments where they prime the brain and sort of try to trick it out of you. And
aren't most people busy?
They're busy. Yeah, that's right.
The fear of death comes when you're laying alone at night.
Right.
You're like, what? There's going to be a day when I don't wake up.
Right.
Maybe I'll die tonight while I'm sleeping.
But you never know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just lights out, and that's it.
Well, that's the greatest way to die ever.
Right.
Go to sleep and don't wake up.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah. Die in your bed peacefully.
Yep. Yep,
yeah.
That's a good way to go. Which is why hospice is probably a really good thing that we're getting better at in the West.
Yeah,
of just helping people make that transition. Which is why, back to near-death experiences, it could be those brain chemicals. That's what they evolved for, was to help that process. As your brain is shutting down, you feel this sort of glow or this sort of good feeling that there's a tunnel, you're going to pass through the sense of transitioning to some other place. And this starts off very early in life. I cite research by Paul Bloom in his lab at Yale with little kids. So he presents them with this little puppet show. And so you have this little mouse and this alligator, and the alligator munches the mouse and he's dead. Where is the mouse now? Oh, the mouse is at in this other place, and he misses his mom, and he's hungry, and he's scared. So, and this is like preschoolers. So it starts pretty young, this dualistic idea that something transcends the physical body. There's something else that continues. And I contend that that's because you can't conceive of nothing.
Right.
I don't perceive my own brain operating, so it feels like thoughts are floating around up there. And I feel like a kind of a set of patterns that would continue beyond the physical body. It feels that way. So our intuitions, I think, naturally lead to the idea of some kind of afterlife or something continues.
It is possible, or is it possible that all these different cultures and all these different people have these concepts because maybe something does happen? Maybe
that's right. Yeah, it could be. Yeah,
something could possibly happen to whatever we think of as consciousness.
That's
whatever we think of as you. And I think most of our consciousness is weighed down by life experiences and genetics and our environment and all the things that we carry around in our head as memories. And I mean, this is a big part of what your life is.
Right.
And at the core of all that is the self, is you,
right.
Our consciousness, whatever that means.
Right.
It's never been, no one's ever been able to take consciousness and, we extracted it and we put this in this beaker and now we weighed it.
Right.
Consciousness is 28 grams or whatever. Remember that stupid thing that people used to think when you died?
Right.
Yeah. But
21 grams. Yeah. 21
that's
grams,
it. 21 grams.
Yeah.
I mean, but imagine if that was the case and before that all happened, you went and downloaded your brain into some supercomputer.
Right.
So you got two yous. You got one you that lives in hell on Earth, living forever,
right.
Never going to die. Just one mundane trip to Starbucks after another. And you're just trapped. You're trapped in a computer, which is what Ray Kurzweil was saying. Like,
right.
What if they give you the opportunity to be trapped in a computer, but you're trapped in an iPhone 1, essentially.
Right.
Like, once you're in, you're in. Like, you could either wait and hang on for a few years and you will get a really good computer. We're thinking quantum computers. We're going to go live around 2030, 2032,
right.
But we can get you in now. I mean,
right.
You're looking pretty, you're coughing a lot, Mike.
Right.
I mean,
well, that's like with the cryonics people. I remind people, you're being frozen on the worst day of your life. The day you died.
Yeah.
And you can't do it earlier because the state treats it as a form of burial legally. So you can't be, you can't get the treatment in the injected with the antifreeze and all that before you're actually dead.
Is that what they inject you with, antifreeze?
Yeah, well, a type of antifreeze. And
God.
the purpose of that, well, you're dead, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But the purpose is to keep the cells from shattering because the freezing process will do that. So they've gotten much better about that. And what's actually frozen is this sort of gelatinous mass that's vitrified. It's called a vitrification process. So it's a little bit like remember the touring the bodies where they had the dissected bodies and they were sort of this hard plasticine,
right?
It's a plasticine, yeah. So this vitrification is sort of like that, and then that's frozen. And as far as I'm concerned, everyone frozen to date, including Ted Williams in his head in Arizona there, will never be brought back.
Isn't Walt Disney frozen too?
No, I tracked that down. It turns out the Alcor Cryonics Foundation opened its doors and released a press release the same day Walt Disney died. And these two stories got conflated. Right?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
But,
the Ted Williams one is sad because they didn't have the money for the whole body, so they just took his head.
Right.
Fuck. Man.
It actually isn't that expensive because if you the way Alcor and the other orgs do it is you take out an insurance policy on your life and you make them the beneficiary of the insurance policy. So if you started young, you had say $250,000 insurance policy, a few $100s a year in premiums. If you started super late, the premiums would be much higher. But it's not like you're shelling out $250,000 right out of your checkbook.
Right, and then when you do die, what happens if you get defrosted? Because that has happened, right? Haven't there been...
No. Well, what happens is you look like a bowl of melted strawberries that were frozen. It's just mush.
That happened to one of the companies that does this. They had a power outage.
Right. Yeah, you don't want that. Yeah, I'm not sure why they're in Alcor's in Arizona. I mean,
ooh, that's a terrible place. Shouldn't they be like in Antarctica or something?
So, and there's other deeper issues with this whole idea because if you're going to be frozen for 1,000 years or so, what's to say that the state of Arizona is going to be around, or the government, or the company that keeps the lights on?
It might be underwater,
or anything could happen.
Anything.
All right,
you'd have to transport your body in some sort of one of them big old electric Tesla trucks, big cooler.
I'll send you to Mars.
Yeah, send you some new spot. Yeah.
And again, would you, if they somehow jump-started the body, would you wake up like you just had a long sleep? Would you still be in there? I'm not at all sure that you wouldn't just be something like if the memories weren't preserved very well, then you would just be a zombie. If you don't know who you are, there's no point in doing it.
I think the idea is freeze you, and then one day they'll have the technology to thaw you out, and everything's going to be amazing. And they'll be able to reverse aging and bring you back to when you're 18.
Right. That's right.
Yeah. But here's the thing about memories. If you do die, and say if you do go to heaven, you have the memories of your life. Are those memories just like the memories of today, fallible and squirrely?
Right, and if they're not, then that's not really you.
Right.
And if God resurrects you physically, what's to stop you from aging and getting Alzheimer's or whatever? Well, God's going to prevent that by re-engineering you. Well, then that's not really me. That's up there. It's some superhuman, transhuman.
I had a conversation with some friends of mine who are Mormon, and they couldn't believe that I don't have religious feelings. And one of the things that this lady said to me, I'll never forget, she goes, "You don't believe in an afterlife. How do you get up in the morning?"
Right.
That's literally what she said.
Right.
How do you get up? And I go, "I love life."
Yeah, that's
right. I enjoy this experience.
Can't wait.
I'm enjoying being here at dinner with you guys. I'm going to do some stuff tomorrow I've got planned out. Looking forward to it. Don't you enjoy your time? Does everything have to be for a reward in some place that you're not even totally sure exists after we're done here?
It's such a weird thing to say because I don't think they even think about that. I seriously doubt she wakes up in the morning and goes, okay, because there's an afterlife, I'm feeling good about life and I'm going to get up. I doubt it.
I think it alleviates the pressure. I mean, I think that's a big part of what it is for people. It alleviates the concern for the future. Like, oh, you don't have to worry. God's got it. God's going to take care of it.
Right.
Everything happens for a reason.
That's right, yeah.
God's going to take... Everything does happen for a reason after it happens.
Right, that's right, yeah.
After it's over, you can go back and go, yeah, it happened for a reason.
Yeah.
It became this, and that became who I am, so it all happened for a reason.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah, you're right, but...
And of course, usually what they mean is somebody's pulling the strings to make it happen, not just the pathway that you happen to have gone down.
Exactly. They always mean that God has some grand, very mysterious plan.
And I could kind of see how that feels good. Like,
feels good.
Okay, I'm not alone. There's somebody watching out after me. Not just my spouse and my friends and family, but somebody out there somewhere. And I can see why that feels good. So this is the problem atheists have. And Dawkins talks about this. What do you say to somebody, that's dying? You know, it's like the Ricky Gervais movie, The Invention of Lying. You know, where he goes, tells his mom, well, you know, you get a mansion. Everyone who dies gets a mansion. A mansion? Oh yeah, it's great. And he goes on and on. You know, and then 10 minutes later in the movie, he's the Messiah because this meme got out. You know, it's a great story. And you know, so we can't do that. You know, if you're honest, you can't make up a story. So
right.
what do you say? So in secular humanist circles, there's articles about that. What do you say? And it's hard. You know, you can't promise it, but you know, reminding people of what a great life they've had, you know, how much they've influenced the lives of other people, you know, and so on. That's really all we have. And
yeah.
You know, I used the line from Woody Allen in there, you know, who says, "I don't want to live on in my work. I want to live on in my apartment." Yeah, okay, I understand, and but we don't get to do that.
No, we do not. And again, I want to go back to what I said earlier: is that you are enjoying this partially because it's temporary. It's part of the thing about a day. Like,
right.
You don't want to stay up forever.
Right.
You want to enjoy the day.
Right.
And then at the end, it's over. And
right.
that day is a microcosm of your life.
Yeah, it's kind of fun to think, well, okay, I got 8 hours here before, you know, it's dinner time and so on. So I got to get my workout in and I got to write this chapter and I got to make these calls. And it's kind of fun to kind of see if you can squeeze it all in.
Well, yeah, and knowing that there's a time.
If it was a 20-hour window, I just start fucking around and like, got plenty of time.
Yeah. I find I get more done as a person who's very busy with a family and children and all that stuff.
Right.
I feel like I get more done.
That's right.
Because I don't have time to fuck off.
That's right.
I very rarely have time to fuck off.
Yep. I've been distracted the last 6 months or a year or so with following Twitter feeds that send interesting articles to read, which are interesting articles.
Yes.
There's a ton of really good content out there. And then podcasts, your podcast, Sam's, and Dave Rubin, and that I'm just like, wow, this is all good. I really want to, but wait a minute, I'm not getting my workout in. I'm not doing this. And it's like, okay. So it's a good problem to have. It's a first world problem to have, as they say. And I think what the transhumanists and the Ray Kurzweil think is heaven would be something like that, just endless streams of content that you can consume.
An endless Twitter feed.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, God.
Maybe that's not good.
Yeah, I don't know.
That could be hell.
Yeah, I don't know what he wants. I mean, the living forever thing is very problematic. It's like, you'll be so outdated.
Right.
You know, in 100 years.
Yes, totally.
And the downloading yourself into a computer thing, too. What's to stop a guy like Kim Jong-un from downloading himself 100 times?
Right.
Or 1,000.
Right.
Or do it every day. Well, every day makes a new Kim Jong-un.
Well, this is one reason that these cult leaders, they do try to do that.
Yes.
Through,
right.
Lots of sex.
That is kind of what they're doing, right?
Right, yeah.
Wow.
Sending their genes out into the future as much as they can.
Let me ask you this then. Why does that instinct exist? Like, is that purely a procreation instinct?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So you think that's the religious cult leader instinct? It's based entirely on some ancient reward system that's designed to get you to Genghis Khan your genes out throughout the...
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh.
Yeah, there's I have a chapter there on why we have to die. I mean, why can't we just be programmed like infants are and babies? They, the cells divide rapidly and they're super healthy. I have a young son now. He's 20 months. When he gets a little cut, you can practically watch it heal. It's just incredible. And yet when I get a cut at 63, it takes a couple of weeks to heal. It's like, why can't the system keep going? And the answer is twofold. Second law of thermodynamics, entropy, everything is running down. And second, natural selection programmed us to stay alive long enough to get our children's children into the reproductive age. After that, given that we have limited resources and energy in the system we live in, it's better to allocate the resources to the third generation, say, rather than you. You don't need to live 150, 200 years. 60, 70 years. Your children's children are now in their early 20s and having babies. You're done.